Welcome everyone to Educational Webinar Jam. Today's presentation is by Dr. Oussama. He's an associate professor at Tiaret University. He received his Ph.D. in Gender Studies, Language and Sociolinguistic Diversity from Mostaganem University. Oussama is a Cambridge CELTA certified teacher and IELTS holder. Oussama is passionate about gender equality, leadership, and United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. He is serving as a representative of the International Youth Federation in Algeria. As he participated in various national and international events in the field of gender studies and leadership. There will be a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. We request you all to please hold your questions till the end. We welcome Dr. Oussama.
Hello. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Maria, for this good introduction. And may I start or not yet?
Yes, please. The floor is all yours. Thank you so much. Welcome again.
Right. Thank you. Well, today's webinar is going to be about two important things that people usually complain about probably, which are continuing professional development and leadership among EFL or ESL students and teachers. So the first two things to highlight are that continuing professional development is something teachers need, and probably all the audience attending this webinar is one reason they are looking forward to improving their, let's say, their career or their knowledge. And at the same time, we do love to have motivated students and students with good leadership skills. So these are the two perspectives that we will consider in today's webinar. So yeah, now I in no more than 2 words, I would like you to tell me, what do you expect to learn from this webinar? You will find the link shared with you, so all you have to do is just to click and then share in no more than 2 words. I don't know if the link is with Dr. Maria.
Yes, we've just shared it, Dr. Oussama.
Thank you. So all you have to do is just to consider the title and try to guess what are you going to get from this webinar, hopefully. All right, we are having motivate students. Yes, obviously. Recognizing professional teachers, yeah. All right, so if that's everything we got, we're going to, so we are having other, so yeah, growth, development, good, yeah. Engagement, sure. Mm-hmm. Well, these are all interesting, let's say, words. We hope that we will
in the chat box, Dr. Salman.
Sorry?
We have some answers in the chat box.
Yeah, I'll consider them. All right, I'll be
Strategies
reading.
to use, develop professionally.
Uh-huh. All right. I'll be looking at them. All right. So yeah, strategies to use to develop professionally, and yeah, yeah. Thank you, Mohammed, and you are welcome as well. All right. So we will see the main research questions posed here. So you know that in order to have like productive leadership skills and at the same time keep constantly developing, I opted to consider what is known as extracurricular activities. So the first question is, do extracurricular activities have a positive impact on ESL EFL learners competencies? And we're going to see how these extracurricular activities affect learners motivation. How can extracurricular activities keep students and teachers within the continuing professional development arena? So, just to make it clear, like we will go through this quote, which says, "It is important to remember that no language acquisition or teaching can take place in a classroom that is far removed from the outside world." So we know we all probably most of us agree that context is very important when teaching. Like if we relate every, let's say, objective teaching objective to the real life of our students and we try to contextualize it, it is going to bring or to result simply motivation, engagement, and we will have like students paying attention, and the class is not going to be boring simply because you tried to influence them in a way that relates to them. Still, I wanted to highlight the difference between these two, let's say, concepts, which are imaginative versus actual. You know that when teaching traditionally in classes, and despite like the fact that we mention like real life stories, this is going to remain like imaginative or abstract, something that they are not experiencing, but they imagine that they are living that context or they are being in that particular situation. However, with the use of extracurricular activities, it is something that they obviously do not do in class. Still, it allows them like to experience real life I don't know adventures. So an extracurricular activity is the activity that you take outside classes, outside school, but it still helps you improve your, in this context we are speaking about EFL students, so it helps you improve your language skills or the four skills plus the intercultural ability. Like we all agree that mastering the four skills is not enough for someone who wants to speak the language fluently or to understand the pragmatic meaning behind let's say lines behind or between the lines. So yeah. So first of all, I also wanted to stress on what is an extracurricular activity or what are extracurricular activities. So they are those falling outside the realm of the normal curriculum of school or university education performed by students. So all of the activities students do outside school could, in a way or another, improve their, let's say, language skills. Here we have extracurricular activities effectively fight students' low motivation to learn a foreign language, which is obvious. It is like when you give a generic or redundant, or you use redundant materials in class and you stick to the what is known as the teacher-centered classes, where you try to do all of the things and students, even if they participate from time to another, they are going to be demotivated because you know that learning is a long process, and you know that motivation differs from like at the very beginning of your class to the middle until the last minutes. So yeah, so extracurricular activity is going to motivate students in a way that they are the ones who are going to do the thing. So So this is going to make them motivated all of the time. Next, we have extracurricular activities will lead learners to higher educational success and help students to get better grades in the examination. And this has to do with the participation. Sometimes we get into a class and we simply, or we in a hurry, we can, in a very short period of time, we can realize or recognize who is, let's say, who masters this subject more than the other. And this is simply because the student is living in an environment that encourages his skills to be boosted. And this is the responsibility of many, let's say, agents of socialization. And this is what we are going to see later on. Next, we will consider extracurricular activities and ESL teaching. So in EFL teaching, the importance of extracurricular activities is supported by the communicative competence requirements. So this quote, like it brings one teaching method that reinforces extracurricular activities, or one way to start implementing extracurricular activities is by improving the communicative skills, or improving the communicative skill atmosphere in the class. So you know that CLT, or communicative language teaching, has to do with a teacher who enables his students or her students to be interactive enough, and the one who is able to include or tailor his lesson plans in a way that makes the class interactive by including, for example, some follow-up activities that require students to use the language, the target language, in context. Next, we have participation in extracurricular activities has a quite positive impact on the students' retention in educational process if these activities are closely enough related to the curriculum. Yeah, sometimes most of the time teachers complain about being like bound to the curriculum. They say that we don't have to violate the curriculum. We don't have to be away from what we are supposed to do, etc., etc. Yeah, but I do believe that in most of the educational systems around the world, they do give the teacher some freedom to tailor or to plan his lesson in an interactive way. And extracurricular activities, they also can be adapted according to the teaching unit you are teaching. If you are, for example, dealing with nature or science, or I don't know, you can find an extracurricular activity that fits the teaching unit you are dealing with, and this is going to allow students to have experiences both inside the class and outside the class as well. Next, we have this teaching methodology, which is recent and rewarding, as I, at least as far as I know. So we have project-based learning, which is project-based learning. Project-based learning is a student-centered pedagogy that involves a dynamic classroom approach in which it is believed that students acquire a deeper knowledge through active exploration of real-world challenges and problems. So this one is a teaching method that allows students to move out of the theoretical context to a more practical context where kinesthetic, skills could be implemented. So, and it is mainly about creating a problematic and making students brainstorm and think of a way to solve a real life problem. And this could be well implemented in a flipped classroom environment, like where the teacher is supposed to give students a particular project about a particular subject that they have to do back home together, either online or either they do meet or in person. That during the pandemic we advise them to make it online. Still, they will again meet at classes or in their classes to see what worked well, what didn't work, and the teacher is going to fix the gaps of that particular project. But the only doer of the thing is going to be the student. So here we are going to highlight the difference between traditional classrooms and project-based classroom. We can see that in a traditional classroom, a teacher is supposed to question, to plan, and to do the research. And students are supposed to create, to improve, or and to present. Which means that the one who is going to dig deeper and get the knowledge and put the plan in front of the students is the teacher. So students are going to follow some steps in order to create something, or probably they will listen to your feedback to improve it, and then they will end up presenting it. But in a project-based classroom, the teacher is going only to monitor the student doing everything. So this starts from brainstorming when the student is going to be asking questions, brainstorming, and trying to find the gaps in the body of the knowledge about a particular subject, and then themselves they will be planning their project, and after that they will go to the next stage, which is doing research, which means trying to gather data and using the different tools, etc. And then they will be creating. When they create, of course, they will present their findings to the teacher, and the teacher is going to ask them to improve for one last time, and after that they will be presenting. So this process or this procedure is going to help students move from students who are only spoon fed to students who are going to know the problem and try to plan for a solution, and at the same time they will end up by fixing the problem themselves. And if we consider, for example, also the second graph on the right, we have a driving question or challenge. So the teacher is supposed to challenge his students, or by asking questions that are not direct ones, but that are problematic. So this will kind of generate the need to know among your students. They will be curious to know what is going on. And this will lead to inquiry and innovation using the 21st century skills, like using ICTs in general, because nowadays most of the students have access to internet, which is going to be well used. And next, we will, let's say, hear, or we will see student voice and choice. We will know how students think and what are their raw, let's say, ideas. And after that, there is no harm if the teacher is going to fix something or provide feedback, constructive feedback, of course, for the improvement or for the betterment of that particular project, which is going to be presented publicly. And this is going to require what I call, or what is known as leadership skills or public speaking skills. All right, so in order for this to be in a particular framework, I opted to share with you a platform that is known as iEarn, which is a non-profit organization made up of over 30,000 schools and youth organizations in more than 140 countries. So iEarn empowers teachers and young people to work together online using the internet and other new communications technologies. So yeah, this is a platform created for both teachers and students, where you will have many projects related to different teaching units, and it is a great platform for teachers to interact, communicate, and also for scientific exchange. Same thing for students who are going first to become members by registering or subscribing, and after that they will choose the particular project. And I advise the teacher to choose a particular project related to the teaching unit he's teaching, and after that they will find other students from around the globe interested in the same project, and they will be working all together, and then they will end up presenting it online. And in the case of having, let's say, an in-person or let's say a face-to-face class, they may also present this to their classmates.
Have you ever wondered?
So yeah, now I would like to see an introduction or brief introduction about this organization and the way it works.
Have you ever wanted to connect your students with the rest of the world? Since 1988, iEarn has been...
Sorry?
Have you ever wanted to connect your students with the rest of the world? Since 1988, iEarn has been doing just that.
Students are crossing international borders and jumping language barriers to collaborate on global projects across subjects like math, creative writing, art, science, and history. In a safe and secure online platform called the Collaboration Center, students and teachers participate in dialogue and hands-on collaboration with others from around the world. iEarn helps educators connect and communicate with other teachers and students around the world using interactive technologies, engage students in subjects through creative collaboration with their peers in other countries, and empower students to take action and make meaningful contributions to their local and global communities. Interested in learning with the world, not just about it? Join us at collaborate.iEarn.org.
All right, so yeah, I think that this the iEarn platform is something that is fun, and what I liked about it is that it is a non-profit organization, or it is an NGO, which means that it has nothing to do with politics or something that is not kind of allowed in many educational institutions. So now I would like you to answer this. I kindly ask you to answer this question, please, which is, who do you think is responsible for students' leadership and professional development? So the link is going to be shared with you. All you have to do is just to choose one of the four possibilities, which are the student himself, the educational institution, teachers, or parents. We are having an answer which says educational institution. Some say that teachers are responsible on that. Others say the student himself. So we can see that the student himself is heading. I can read on the chat box that others say all of them. We have also another possibility, like from Ahmed, who says teachers. What about parents? All right, so yeah, if one is allowed to provide feedback about this question, first of all, we have to know like the students are supposed to be integrated in this, let's say, field, probably, which is leadership and professional development. But I believe that if parents are not, I don't know, well equipped, or parents are not competent, between inverted commas, enough to know this field and to introduce their kids to, then probably the responsibility falls on the educational institution, which obviously has a particular approach to follow. And then we will be dealing with teachers' ability to transfer these skills. And I believe the last one to blame is the student himself, because he is the one, or he's the product of his parents, and he's the product of teachers and the educational institution overall. So yeah, that's it. Now we will be moving to something else, that is types of extracurricular activities. You know that they are divided into two categories. We have the structured ones. These activities could be created, implemented, and chaired by the, let's say, and sponsored as well by the university or the educational institution or the school. And when I could see that in my teaching experience or career, I could see that whenever the administration tries to share or tries to call for uh, to call students to participate in such events or programs, we mainly have, motivated students participating because they are already competent. They already have the will to participate. However, the unstructured extracurricular activities are going to be chosen by demotivated students who are most of the time doing routine practices. Like if a student is demotivated, if a student is shy, he is going to do one thing. He's going to watch movies, he's going to play video games, he's going to stay at home or keep chatting or using Facebook or etc. So this is the gap that I did not entertain in the extracurricular activities created by educational, let's say, institutions or universities. It is they do dismiss or neglect the latent talents among demotivated students or students who are not, or probably they might be even motivated but shy or kind of hesitant or etc. So here I stress on the role of the teacher who is going to, who obviously has a good relationship with his students and who is going to know who is shy, who is hesitant, who is anxious, and who is willing to participate, or who needs, let's say, some leadership skills in order to be visible. So this is going to lead to self-created opportunities by the teacher, and here it is the teacher's role to create a network of opportunities and in order to for himself and for his students as well. So yeah, now we will be moving to the international opportunities. We do know that they are divided up into the to face-to-face programs, activities, and opportunities versus, let's say, online ones. You know that the face-to-face opportunities are limited somehow. When you consider, it depends from one country to another. In some countries, many teachers complain about not having enough opportunities to participate in. And when it comes to the virtual ones, we have many ones, and it depends on the students or teachers' interest to choose from various and different, platforms. Next, we have international opportunities. For example, in the EFL context, you know that this differs from one specialty to another. And since we are in English language teaching or ELT arena, we are going to consider EFL proficiency, for example. For someone who, let's say, who have just graduated from university, those who have just graduated from university, or students who are still studying, or teachers who want to, let's say, keep developing and keep making sure or brushing up their knowledge and making sure that their skills, their language, and everything is okay with them. They are not suffering from burnout or de-skilling, or which means that like losing their skills. In order to make sure that you are not losing your skills, you have to opt for one of these opportunities. The first one is language proficiency tests. The second is international teaching certificates. MOOC platforms, which MOOC stands for Massive Open Online Courses. And we have also something else, leadership development through what the US Embassy exchange programs, students organizations, Model United Nations events, and speakers platforms. We will go into detail and try to explain each one of them briefly. So if we consider EFL proficiency tests, we have a very well-known, let's say, test, which is IELTS, and it could be taken either online or paper-based version. It stands for the International English Language Testing System. This one is going to allow you to know what is your real level of English, and the process of preparing to this exam is going to keep you like updated and keep your vocabulary improving, etc. Same thing applies to TOEFL, which is mainly American. It is also a proficiency test. We have also Duolingo. This one is an app that you can download on your smartphone, and it allows you to know your English level. And many universities are accepting the certificates issued by this, let's say, by this app. Uh-huh. And we also have the EF, which stands for English First Standard English Test. This test is online and free. All you have to do is just type EF Standard English Test. And when you finish this test, you will be given a certificate that is, accredited, and even the school or any party can verify it online. Next, we have some international teaching certificates, and these are mainly about, or let's say, these are international certificates certifying you as an international teacher, and these will enable you to teach abroad, travel the world, and let's say pursue an international career. We will start with Future Learn and Alison. You know that before I advise you, before choosing to sit for one of these courses, try to start with free preparatory courses. Future Learn and Alison are platforms giving hundreds of online courses, and for free. They will train you well before you opt for an accredited certification like Cambridge CELTA, which is the most, let's say, famous certificate and well recognized internationally. It stands for Certificate of English Language Teaching for Adults. We have also TEFL certificate, and we have TESOL, which is, mainly American. So these certificates are allow you to be an international teacher. And we also have some leadership development programs like, for example, we have the U.S. Embassy. This is an example from my country. We have the U.S. You know that embassies all around the world do have some exchange programs, which are mainly about leadership, education, women empowerment, etc. So I advise you to check on these websites in order to find many opportunities that are related to your career or to your age, or it depends, and you will apply, and then they mainly provide, most of them are fully funded, which means that you will not be paying anything for them. Next, we have also students organizations. I most of the time advise my students to join ISEC, for example, which is a students organization providing internships which are going to improve their leadership skills, and and this platform allows them to take real life experiences. Same thing for the Model United Nations conferences, which is it is like a simulation. It is 100% like the way the United Nations work. So I also advise you to look for these programs, which are available in most of the countries all around the world, and also speakers platforms like TEDx, like WikiStage, the World Economic Forum. These are speaking platforms where they share some success stories, and they do allow the students and teachers as well to improve. So in order to I conducted a study with my, Master 2 students, and I opted for a triangulation method, which stands for a questionnaire with 100 Master 2 students, another disguised observation, and semi-structured interview with 4 university professors. So I tried to know their perceptions and their, let's say, preconceived notions about leadership and extracurricular activities. So when I asked my students if they had some experience or if they did some extracurricular activities, we can see that the great majority said that they did not, which is this percentage shows how schools, or how we are disconnecting our students from reality, let's say. Types of activities students participate in. Those who said yes, I asked them again, and most of the activities they took were face-to-face, and they were mainly charity stuff, or joining a sports club, or doing something that is kind of that is not related to the EFL context. So then I tried to know like what is needed to benefit from online opportunities, like what is wrong with us and with our students, and why aren't we taking advantage of these, let's say, plenty opportunities online. So we can see that every single point is, let's say, is important. So sometimes you have the motivation. So this explains why just few students said that we need motivation, and others, most of them said that we need to find websites for these opportunities, which is obvious. It would be better for the teacher to do some research and share some websites with his, let's say, students. And also we need to know about the application writing methodology. You know that each program requires a certain methodology, a certain writing, particular writing skills. So we do know we have to know how to write these applications. Others say that we need to improve our English skills, and others say that they need to work on their leadership skills, while others simply say that we need some help and guidance. And I think that the guidance and help has to be coming from the teacher to the students. Next, we have training students about continuing professional development, leadership, and exchange programs. So I asked my students if they do agree to be trained about these topics, and most of them said that we strongly agree, like to know, to learn, to have modules, classes about continuing professional development, leadership, and exchange programs. Because I do believe that while telling them about these three things, we may teach the language and we may guarantee the students' motivation. So this is known as involving students and making them not only studying about something theoretical, but studying about something that is related to them, studying about an experience that they had or that they will have in the near future. So the findings are as follows. So we do have, or let's say, language-oriented extracurricular activities improve learners' self-esteem, self-confidence, and self-reliance. So we need to have some extracurricular activities which are adapted to our language classes. Next, we have joining in extracurricular activities motivates students to learn EFL better, obviously. Students practice in English in language-oriented extracurricular activities gives the learner a lot of opportunities for natural language use. And this has to do with like when you teach, for example, the present perfect, and you focus on the rules and all the exceptions, etc., it is not going to be productive as someone who uses the present perfect subconsciously in context and correctly. So for this reason, I most of the time focus on contextualization and making things, concrete. So what do we recommend? So we recommend from teachers mainly to create networks, or let's say self-created networks and opportunities. We do need to make use of our LinkedIn profile, of the websites which provide opportunities, and we have to register. So, and most of the time these programs, or let's say, most of the time they do improve our language skills, and they allow us to meet other people who are more experienced and who do have many expertise in different fields. Next thing is contextualization of teaching and learning. So teachers are advised to give their students, activities that should be implemented in context instead of sticking to theory. So in order to implement these, we can use CLT, the communicative language teaching, the project-based learning, flipped classroom, etc. And next, we have to focus on reinforcing autonomy among students. So these are a set of platforms for opportunities. So you can simply use these websites to find many scholarships, workshops, seminars, webinars. So it depends. So try to make use of them and share with your students when they are relevant to them. Thank you so much for being all ears, and now the floor is yours for the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Osama. As ever, it was a very enlightening session. I request the attendees to, if you have any questions, you can open your mic and ask Dr. Oussama directly as well, or you can type in the chat box and I will direct them to Dr. Oussama. You can ask your questions now. We have 10 minutes for this. Somebody wants to see the scholarship part again, Dr. Oussama?
All right,
Slide.
yeah, no problem at all. All right, yeah, here it is.
Thank you. Any other questions? Please, you can direct them now.
Hello.
Welcome, Hamza. Yes, please, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Osama, and thank you also you too. My question
Thank you
is,
so much.
my question is, can you share us this PDF, this word, this schedule, because it's very useful for a teacher, and can you share us in here as a PDF if you can, please? Thank you so much.
Yeah, there is no problem, but still this, let's say, the entire webinar is going to be posted on YouTube and on the educational, let's say, the Maria Zahir, let's say, platform, so you will have access to it, and you're welcome.
That's correct. Thank you, Dr. Sama. The recording of this webinar will be uploaded in next 24 hours on our website and on our YouTube. You will receive the link with your certificates as well.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Most welcome. Any questions regarding?
Sorry? I can see the Dora question. She says, which TEFL certificate will be the best? Yes. So, yeah, Dora, you know that, let's say, TESOL could be, let's say, provided or could be, let's say, issued by different organizations all around the world. Same thing for TEFL. So, for this reason, most of the people say that, Cambridge CELTA, which is exclusive to Cambridge University, is the most, let's say, famous or, let's say, well-recognized one. So, I personally have a CELTA, so I advise you to opt for this one if you want to to have a very accredited, let's say, certification. Next we have
Hello. Yes,
Hamza, do you have any other question?
yes, can I have the floor? Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. My question is, as a teacher, how can we develop our teaching skills?
How can we develop our teaching skills?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. So I believe that this is a very broad question, and probably implementing extracurricular activities and at the same time trying to implement all that has been said during the webinar is one way of making, let's say, your classes more interesting and at the same time improving. So for this reason, I try to share with you these opportunities and these, let's say, programs in order for yourself to develop and to allow your students to improve with you as well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Next we have Christine who says, like, how can we impose or apply extracurricular activities in an online setting, especially with the lower grades? Yeah, we do know that during the pandemic we are only using e-learning. So yeah, you can simply ask them to do an activity that is related to the teaching unit. If they do have the supervision of their parents, they can even go out in order to do something or to implement something particular. And with the lower grades, I think that providing them with a space at least to speak for themselves after implementing something concrete, I think that this will help you, improve your students' level. And I also would like to focus on one thing. It is, I advise teachers to do extracurricular activities with students who have at least an intermediate level, because I don't see, let's say, or it's not appropriate to use it with, let's say, starters or beginners who are still in the process of learning basics of the English language. We also have another one who says, is there any free course or TEFL or TESOL virtually? Yeah, they obviously don't provide you with certificates, but there are some preparatory courses which are for free, and they ask you to pay in order to get the certificate. So there is no need to pay for the certificate because it is just a preparatory course. So I don't advise people to pay for an official TEFL, CELTA, or TESOL without taking the preparatory courses, because they will highlight and clarify the structure of the course and what to expect from it. So yeah, that's it.
Dr. Osama, if you allow me to add something here.
Yeah, sure.
For the TESOL certificate, I would also recommend to go, please, on campus and do the certification, because the practical teaching part that is assessed is very important to have a valuable certificate. And some parts of the countries and some part of the they are not accepting online training certificates.
Exactly.
So it is not credible enough. So if you're going for any TEFL certificate that is online, it's not acceptable, even if you're doing it from any reputable certification. Even the master's degree or Ph.D, if you're doing on distance learning, unfortunately, they are not accepted. So please be very careful before investing in any of those certifications.
Yeah, exactly. I do agree with you, because nowadays some platforms, or let's say some organizations, claim to be professional enough and claim to be providing TEFL certificates or TESOL certificates for a very low, let's say, for a cheap price, and this is usually to attract some people to pay for it, thinking that it will give them advantage. However, it is not the fact. So I advise you, as Dr. Maria Zahir said, to opt for in-person, face-to-face certifications.
Thank you so much. We have another 2-3 minutes. If you have any questions, please direct them now. There's a link in the chat box to register your attendance for the certificate. Kindly do that before leaving this webinar. Thank you. Any other questions for Dr. Oussama? You can communicate directly as well by opening your mics.
I would like to thank everyone, all of the attendees, for the good comments, and we do hope to see you again in the near future during other new webinars. And I also would like to thank Dr. Maria Zahir for this. I really appreciate the fact that you're investing your time and efforts, for the sake of providing knowledge for free and sharing it with teachers and those who are interested all around the world. I thank you so much, and it was a pleasure presenting today, and it was a great pleasure to get to know you, Dr. Maria Zahir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sam. You at our platform, and we will continue to do more webinars that are absolutely free for professional development for teachers, for young teachers who are starting in this profession. And there are lots of recordings at our platform website that teachers can go back and revisit and learn some of the skills they require, especially for distance teaching and learning. I think that's pretty much it, Dr. Oussama. They have no more questions. We will end our session. Kindly register in the link for your certificate. Thank you so much for coming in and attending our webinar today, and we look forward to see you all in our future sessions. Bye for now. Thank you, Dr. Oussama, once again.
Thank you so much. Goodbye.